Lady Hu's face darkened the second she heard that. What I was really saying was, she sent all my people away and that's why it burned. You're on your second child now. You should know what you're doing by now. Why on earth would you need that many people waiting on you? There's so much to manage in this household every day. Borrowing a few servants from your courtyard is completely normal, isn't it? Luo Qinghe smiled and stepped forward to take Lady Hu's arm. It's been so dry lately. Sparks just happen. As long as sister-in-law and the baby are safe, that's all that matters. Then she turned to look at me. Sister-in-law, mother-in-law works so hard to run this household.
Please don't be too hard on her, okay?
I also gave birth today. And honestly, you don't need that many people for childbirth. Too many people just makes it chaotic. Hearing that, I let a small, barely noticeable smile creep onto my face. I didn't say a word, I just stared at her, and Luo Qinghe started to feel uneasy. Sister-in-law? Hey, why aren't you saying anything? Did the fire scare you or something? I smiled. No, I'm fine. I just think everything sister-in-law said makes a lot of sense. Funny how I never noticed before. See, the way Luo Qinghe talked, it sounded like she was playing peacemaker, but every single line was implying I was being petty. And sure enough, the moment Lady Hu heard Luo Qinghe's words, she looked at me with even more disgust. Utterly classless. Look at your sister-in-law. You both gave birth today, and she's not out here nitpicking like you are. I tilted my head with a little smile. You're absolutely right, mother-in-law. It's all thanks to your excellent management, your eye for talent, your ability to delegate, your dedication to saving money for the household. I could never measure up. Then I glanced over at my nearly burned down main house. It's just such a shame, though. The repairs for the main house. I imagine that's going to run at least 1,000 taels of silver extra. The moment those words left my mouth, Lady Hu's face dropped even further, but she couldn't find a single thing to say back to that. While everyone was still talking, the fire on the main house was put out. Lady Hu spoke again. You two just gave birth. Stop standing around out here. Go get some rest. Luo Qinghe and I both nodded and said sure. Then Lady Hu looked back at me pointedly. Oh, and that house of yours. You'll need to arrange the repairs yourself. The message was loud and clear. Use your own dowry money. Don't even think about touching the household funds. Not a penny from the family budget. After dropping that bombshell, Lady Hu was helped away by the servants and maids. Luo Qinghe glanced at the baby in my arms, sleeping soundly, and visibly relaxed. She put on a weak, fragile act and coughed a few times. Since you're okay, sister-in-law, I'll head back now. Watching her play that delicate little role, I knew it was all a performance for my benefit. In my last life, when I heard she was weak after childbirth, I sent her an endless stream of tonics and supplements, got her looking perfectly healthy and glowing. Thinking about that now, honestly, what a joke. I gently stroked the swaddle around my baby. You had a long night, sister-in-law. Get some rest. Once Luo Qinghe's figure disappeared at the end of the corridor, I immediately headed to my son's courtyard with the baby. When I pushed open that familiar carved wooden door, a tiny little figure was sitting under the lamp, playing with a little puppet. At the sound of the door, Zheng Yuan turned around. Those big, round eyes of his were full of pure innocence. My eyes went red on the spot. I handed my little girl to Shen Kui with trembling hands. Mama's here. I missed you so much. Tears started falling like they wouldn't stop, soaking right through the collar of his little outfit. Little Zheng Yuan, just barely 2 years old, was caught completely off guard by the sudden hug and looked a little confused. But he still reached up his little hand, gently patting Mama on the back. That familiar milky scent, that warm little touch, it felt like my heart was being torn apart. In my last life, ever since she was born, it had been way too long since I'd been able to hold her like this. This time around, Mama is going to protect you. I'm going to be right here whispering in your little ear. Watch you both grow up safe and sound. Little Yuan didn't understand the weight behind those words, but she could sense her sadness. Clumsily, she reached up and wiped the tears off my face and said in that tiny little voice, Mama, no cry. When blow it better. And then she puckered up her little lips and blew on my face so seriously. I burst out laughing through my tears. I pulled her in even tighter. Mama's fine. I'm just so happy seeing how sweet our Wenwen is. That's all. Shen Sui watched her lady break down like this, and her own eyes started to well up. She instinctively held the baby tighter, as if just holding on could protect this little life they nearly lost. I wiped my tears and pushed down everything I was feeling. Just stayed present, played with Yuan, until the night got late, and I gently coaxed my son to sleep. When his little chest was rising and falling steadily, I finally made myself get up, and got my baby daughter settled in the small room next door. In the flickering candlelight, I stared down at the sleeping baby in my arms, thinking about how close I'd come to losing her. It felt like an invisible hand was squeezing my heart, especially when I thought back to that beat-up cradle in the woodshed. All that rough hay, it had even scratched into her soft little skin. The moment that thought started forming, I shook my head hard. I couldn't let myself go there. Shen Kui sat nearby, quietly wringing her handkerchief, until she finally couldn't hold it in anymore. My lady, how did you even think to use rouge as a marker? Did you already know someone was going to try to swap the young miss? I paused for a moment. I just had a nightmare. Dreamed that someone stole my baby and left a fake one in her place. I was scared it might come true, so I played it safe. That's insane. Shinzui gasped. She pressed her hands together and said, It must have been the Han family ancestors watching over you, sending you that dream as a warning. Maybe. I gazed out at the moonlit window, eyes drifting far away. That same moon had watched me die in my past life, and now it was lighting the way for my second chance. Shen Kui patted her chest, still shaken. Thank goodness you were quick thinking, my lady, coming up with that whole fire plan. The first lady totally fell for it. She took the bait hook, line, and sinker, rushed everyone over to fight the fire. I let out a quiet laugh. Of course she rushed. The baby in my room is her actual biological daughter. If the place is burning, she's going to panic. She had to call everyone over to fight that fire. What if something happened to her own kid? Shen Sui looked totally puzzled. Okay, but if the one that got swapped in is her actual daughter, then who's the little boy in her room? Where did he even come from?